Alright, so this week I'm going to be fitting some golf seats to my Hilux. So a couple of weeks ago, Luke and I bought some GTI seats from a Mark 7 Golf. They're black leather, I'll show you in a minute. So just moved the toy waste into the shed because it's bucketing down and pulled it with the Hilux. So the Hilux is in the shed and the seats are in the shed, so something to do. So as you can see, we've got black leather golf seats. So these are out of Mark 7 GTI. We were going to get R32 seats, but these were in better condition and a better colour. So this is the passenger seat out of the Hilux. So all we're going to do is make these rails, or these ones more so, fit to the car. So as you can see, the front on the Hilux sort of tilts a little bit and the front on the Golf is pretty flat, so that could be a bit of a challenge. But on the back of the Golf, they're flat, and on the back of the Hilux, they're flat. You can see there the back of the Golf seats are flat and the back of the Hilux seats are flat. So I'm going to start off by measuring this distance, measuring that distance, and hopefully they're somewhere close and I can make the backs bolt in, and then I'll have to work on the front. We'll see how we go. So this is what we've got to work with inside the Hilux. A bit grubby, but it'll be fine. So you can see the two back bolts here, nice and flat, and the front ones here, which are lifted up and a bit tilted. So we're probably going to have to lift the back up to match the front for the Golf seats, and then make these come up and then go forward or backwards and be flat, so the Golf seat can bolt to it. So it's going to be a bit of stuffing around, but I'll do some measurements today and then probably get stuck into it tomorrow. Alright, so I went to Metal Corp this morning. It's a new day, obviously. It's not raining anymore. Got sick of it last night and realised I didn't have the right metal. So got some bends for the LS flanges that finally rocked up. Had to wait like over a month for these, and then they overnighted them anyway. So had to keep hassling them to get those. So I bought 6 of these 90-degree bends. So these are 2-inch. They didn't have 1 7/8 or whatever they are. So we'll just do one off of there, piece of straight pipe, and then this as a 90, and then another 90 over here. So I'll probably go this way, sorry, for the truck. So that's a later job because Luke's called dibs on that one. Got a bit more RHS for the shelf that I want to make, and then some 2-inch steam pipe for that manifold. So all of that can just stay there. Don't need any of that at the moment. So I got 2 bits of flat bar, 50mm and 75mm. They're both 6mm thick. So I'll use whatever is appropriate in the right spots. Got some 50 by 100 2.5 and 25 by 50 2.5. So these are going to be the mounts for the seat. So this will be the back one, and I'll probably stand it up this way and then have a small tab off the bottom with the 6mm to bolt into the floor. Then the Golf seat will bolt to this because they are quite low. And then the front has that little step in that I showed you yesterday. And then we'll make this bolt to the Golf seat and then bolt to the car. So just gotta cut these to size, measure everything, drill stuff, fabricate, make this happen. So just show you in the car again. Got the 2 back mounts, one there and one under that piece of plastic. And the front mounts on this little box raised section, one there and one there. So we'll do the 25 by 50 here and have a small tab coming off, and the 100 by 50 back there, small tab coming off. So should be reasonably easy. Fingers crossed, because now that I've said that, I'll probably be here for a week. So looking at the Golf seat, I just need to get it on the back of the car and measure the mounts, make those 2 pieces of RHS bolt to the bottom of the seat, put it in place, make the little tabs, and then weld it all together. So I'll get to that in a minute. I got this last time we went to the metal corp, so to the metal shop. I'm going to bolt the LS flanges to this, so when Luke decides that he wants to make the flanges, they don't warp so much. So I'm going to start with this. I'll get the drill bit, get the LS flange on there, get some bolts happening, some clamps, drill a whole bunch of holes, so it's all ready to go when Luke gets here next time. I'm not sure where that's going to be, but it'll be ready for him to go. Alright, so I bolted down the flange, or clamped down the flange, drilled the holes. So now this flange go on there, and I'll get some longer bolts and some nuts, but you can get all the bolts in, which is obviously what you want. So get the bolts in there, clamp it all down. Shouldn't warp it as much as it will. It'll warp anyway, but this will slow it down. So then the plan is one off of here, and then a straight length of tube, and then another curve on the end, and another curve on the end, and then into the cats and down the side of the truck. So this will be a later episode, so look forward to that. But for now, I'll turn my attention to the seats. Alright, so I'm using the Hilux as a workbench here because I don't know when concrete's happening and everything needs to be on wheels pretty much. So I've got the bottom of the Golf seat here. As you can see, I'm going to pick up on this point here, so they're the back two, and the front ones are this one and this one. So they do have a little tab, which I can either use to my advantage or I can cut them off. So we'll see how we go. This is on the lowest setting at the moment, and the bottom of the seat actually pokes out past the rails. So probably we'll ignore that and bump it up a little bit. So I'll just go flat off of here for now and see how it all interferes or doesn't interfere and go from there. So I'm going to get the 100x50 and go from here to here on the back, and get the 50x25 and go from here to here on the front. So I'll get that, cut to length, bolt it on, and then update you from there. So as you would have seen in one of the past videos, I got some new Milwaukee tools. So that means my Hitachi stuff can go in the bin because it's pretty much broken anyway. But I do have this one DeWalt tool. So I've been using Dad's batteries for many years, but I just found out you can get adapters and run a Milwaukee battery. Pretty awesome. So the only DeWalt tool I have now has a Milwaukee battery adapter, and I can run my Milwaukee batteries on everything I own. Technology, how good. Look how excited Harley is about it. You're such a good boy. So almost like magic, here we are. The 100x50 bolted on. So I had to do the bolts offset a little bit for this pin in there, which you can kind of see. So I kept that because it's quite nice and stops the seat rattling around. And then the front, I drilled them in the middle, which is the 50x25, and I've got this little lip to hold it. So looks pretty nice. This definitely does foul on this, so I've just jacked it up a couple, which is just this lever here. So it's okay for now. I might have to notch this out and make clearance for that if the height's not right, but that's a later problem for later, Jeff. So now I'll clean all this out, just rubbish and garbage, pop the seat in here and see how close we are, see if we're in the right ballpark, see if we've got to start again, see if we can make tabs or whatever we're going to do. So I'll clean this out, put the seat in and show you how it fits, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do for the tabs. So here we have the Golf seat in the Hilux. It's on a weird angle, but it's pretty close fit. So I'm going to make some little tabs for here and for over there. That's easy enough. But I'd actually like the seat to go over a little bit more, which it can at the front. There's another maybe 3/4 of an inch or an inch. And then in the back, it's actually hitting the floor. So I'm going to have to cut the back cross member, put a bit of a funny angle on it, and then I should be able to move the seat over a little bit. So I'll just measure up these tabs and make them, bolt them in, and then cut the back, slide the seat over a little bit, and then I can just tack these in place or weld them in place in the car. And then do the back ones, which are pretty much just a flat, straight shoot, so it should be reasonably easy. They're comfy. They're quite a lot higher than I was hoping. Probably should have gone 75 or 50mm in the back and essentially nothing in the front. But if I recess that bit at the back, I can drop the seat a little bit lower and it'll probably be alright. So you do sit kind of low in this car anyway, so it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not a very big dude, so I should be fine. But if you're super tall, I wowould suggest lowering it down if you're putting GTI seats in your 09 Hilux, which I doubt you are. So the plan for the tabs was to use this either 50x6mm or 75x6mm, but I'm also making a set of shelves, so the one I didn't use would be for the shelves. So the 75mm is the same size as the purlins, and it looks like I want to use 50mm for what I'm doing anyway, so the 75mm can get shelved and I'll make those into shelves. That was unintentional. So I get the 50mm, cut some little 50mm squares, drill some holes. I'll probably drill some holes first, cut some little squares up, put it in the car and tuck it all together. Alright, so I've taken the seat off the rail, or the crossbeam, or whatever you call it, and I've tacked on these front tabs, so they're just a 50mm square with a hole in the middle. Pretty simple. I've also moved this over as far as I can, so it's 3cm from the edge of this bracket, which is more for my knowledge than yours, but that means I'll have to notch the back to suit. So pretty much I'll get this all welded in and bolted back to the seat, then I'll cut a little bit out of the back rail and hope that I've cut enough out that I can move it over. So see how we go. If not, it'll be put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. You know the drill. So once this is in, I'd like to put the fridge in the middle as well. So I might be able to go off of the seat rails to make a little bracket for the fridge or something like that. So getting there, I'll pull this out, weld it fully, weld it back on the seat, put the seat back in, and hopefully have enough clearance in the back. So I've got the back brace here, just cut 30mm angle off the end, so 30mm at one end and 0 at the other for a bit of a taper. And this sits somewhere in here. So you can see that the hole is actually really far over and pretty much in line with here. So that should be enough, hopefully. If not, I'm gonna have to cut some more angle in it to clear all this bump just here and that bolt. So I'll bolt this back on. I've welded the front fully. So I'll bolt this back on, bolt the front back on, put the chair in the car. Hopefully this clears and then we can measure up the back ones and start doing those. Alright, so it turns out 30mm on that back corner was enough. So got the front welded, bolted in, it's all done essentially. I just need to like smooth it, paint it. And the back is bolted to the seat. So all I need to do now is make a tab to go from there to up here. So there is a bit of a bend here, so I'll probably go up a little bit, bend, and then weld it onto here. I could go straight and bolt it on, but weld it on, but that will look a bit crap, so probably put a bend in it. So they slide back and forwards nice and smoothly. They fit pretty well. They're super comfy, and they do have a few luxuries like a electric bolster apparently, and also heated seats, which is my favourite. Alright, so I lied. I didn't put a bend in them, I just bolted them straight to the floor. They lifted up about 1 centimetre and I welded them on. This one's on a bit of an angle, and I think that's because the floor's on a bit of an angle, but I'm not 100% sure. They were bolted in, I tacked them together, pulled it out and welded it, and nothing moved, so we should be okay. So just got to put this back in the car. It's currently red hot though, so I don't want to do that. And as you can see, the front one is holding the whole seat up, so pretty good. So while I'm waiting for that to cool down, I'll pull the driver's side out, clean everything out of the car again, and start mocking up the same thing on the other side. So the mounts on this side look a little bit different. So this outer bolt hole is further forward than it is on the other side, and I feel like these bolt holes are closer to the tunnel. So I'm just going to have to make sure that this side's really crucial, because obviously you want to be centered with the steering wheel and have enough clearance for the handbrake and stuff. The other side doesn't really matter because you're not holding onto a steering wheel, you just got to be comfortable. So this side's a bit more important. So I'm going to make all the tabs. I'm going to cut the piece of metal to length. I'm going to center on the tabs and then work out where the seat needs to sit on top of that, rather than bolting it to the seat and then putting it in the car. As for the back, I'll have to bolt it all to the seat and then make the tabs. So similar to what I did on the other side, but a little bit different. So I'll get stuck into that and I'll bolt this side down, and then once it's all done, if there's any complications I'll show you, but once it's all done I'll show you and we can be done. Bit of stuffing around later, got both seats in. So this one I still need to do the back 2 tabs on, but just to show you how different they are. This one's super short, that one's reasonably short, but it's also on an angle, and then the other 2 are like 150mm long. So clearly the floor's different for the bench seat and the single seat, which is fine. That's why we have a welder and a grinder. So I'm just going to make those back 2 tabs, pull it all out, and then notch the back mount for the bottom of the seat, because you can't sit it all the way down with that current crossmember. Then paint everything, cut this a little bit shorter because it's in the way, vacuum all the car, put all the interior back in, which is pretty much only that, and the floor mats, and then put the seats in. And I also have to do wiring at some point, but might just ignore that for a little bit because they're pretty comfy, and the wiring's for lumbar support, which I don't really care about, and the heated seats, which we're about to go into summer, so it doesn't really matter that much. They're both in, they're both tacked together, I've sat in it a couple of times, it's pretty nice. So it's day 2 now obviously, so I'll just pull the seats out and finish mounts off, paint them, put them back in. So here I have the mounts from the driver's seat. So this is the back one obviously. As you can tell, this is on a bit of an angle, 45-degree angle. That's because it doesn't line up like the other side, and you can see that this side is really close. So heaps different to the passenger side, but still achievable. And then this one here is the front one from the driver's side, and you can see I had to cut a chunk out of the corner for it to sit against the tunnel. So I'll fully weld these, and then I need to cut a chunk out of there for the bottom of the seat. Then I can paint them and put them back in. So I've decided that I'm going to cut this first before I weld it, because once I weld it, I won't be able to touch it because it's too hot. So 60mm from the ends, 30mm down, 45 degrees. So cut that whole chunk out there, might do the same thing on the other side. So I'll cut all that out and then grind it smooth, weld these up, and then cut a little bit off the end of this because it was a little bit too long. And then this side's done and I can paint it. So the large chunk has been removed, so that's good. Now just going to weld it, grind that smooth, and then paint it. Put it in. Welded, cut, smooth, painted. Same with those ones. So we're all good to go. Just got to wait for these to dry. I'll flip them over and paint the outsides, and then I can put it all in. Alright, so the GTI seat mod into the Hilux is pretty much done. As you can see, we've got the original Golf seatbelt receiver, and the driver's side actually clips into that, which is awesome. I haven't done any of the wiring yet to make the seat heater work, the lumbar support work, or the car thing that you've got your seatbelt on, or that you're even sitting in it, which I need to work out so that the airbag works. I'm not sure if that's 100% how it works, but pretty sure with the passenger side it won't go off unless it thinks someone's sitting in there and they've got the seatbelt on. So need to work that out, but that's a later problem. So next problem is I've got the original Toyota buckle here, which clicks into the passenger seat, but the passenger side seatbelt doesn't actually clip into the Golf one. So I'm going to try and get another driver's side, and hopefully that will clip into the passenger Golf, if that makes sense. So the same clasp as this on that side to clip into the Golf seat, and then we'll have that all done. So next week I'll hopefully have a solution for that. And I also want to try and do a little mount in the middle for my fridge cooler heater thing that I bought the other week. So hopefully do that, central locking, and I've also got to do a speedo corrector. So there's a few more Hilux mods coming, so stay tuned, but that is it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.